has attacked no one is being carved up and served on a plate to enemies who are ethnic fascists. No other word will do for them. How strange that the West should take that side and not this.
The international community created, basically, or saved the virus of ethnic cleansing. Now this virus of ethnic cleansing, which is now being legitimized in Bosnia by the ignorance of the international community, will spread all around the world, like AIDS.
Do you think it will be possible ever to rehabilitate the 2 million or so displaced persons?
You see, I visited the front lines all around Bosnia, and I had many conversations with our soldiers. And I asked them, what are your priorities after the war? And people have different answers, several priorities. I'm pleased to tell you that revenge is not one of them.
This optimistic view of post-war Bosnia from the Vice President Eyüp Ganic is shared by many people in Sarajevo. This time, of course, Jovo Tuta has no last bottle of wine to open for us.
Stalno, uporno, što Francuzi i Englezi hoće da dokažu da je eto ovdje nekakav podjela. Ne može shvatilo mi. Eto, ja apelujem samo na i ovdje, i na Engleze, smatram da su pametni i obrazovani, da ne nasjedaju. Ja sam gledao ovo. Ako svijet uspije, ako što je na put, kao što hoće, eto, nadam se da hoće, Sarajevo da spasi. Ne u smislu da sad on pomiruje kao narode u Sarajevu. Ne to mislim. Još da neko sa strane ne nametne podjelu. Vjerovatno za vrlo kratko vrijeme bi na čitavoj teritoriji Bosne i Hercegovine, bez obzira kako su oni podijeli i napravili mir, došlo do jednog normalnije odnosa.
Despite rumors in the British press of harassment of Serbs inside Sarajevo, none of the many I've spoken to, not Jovo, for example, not Selma's now ex-boyfriend Alec, has experienced any sort of discrimination. Alec still spends most of his time reading, waiting for electricity, reading again.
Primetio sam kad smo došli jučer kod vas da peć fino gori. Hoće li biti tako kroz cijelu zimu?
Pa ako budemo živi zdravi, mislim da hoću jer imam puno knjiga. Ja više sad ništa ne želim. Imam ploča puno i čuo sam da dobro gore.
Da, a sad ja sam čuo prije neki dan jedan neukusni vic o tome kako čovjek dolazi u posjetu nekoga koji kaže da, hoćeš kafu? Da. Hoćeš kafu pečeno na krliži ili na andviču?
Svejedno. Evo tu je krleža gore andvič. Pa ne bih odmah pošao sa andvičem i sa krležom jer mislim, pogotovo sa andvičem ne bih. Andviča bih čuvao do posljednje kafe.
Evo imate direktan za svu raju s Mondorom, direktno hapanje i krpanje.
The black humor of Sarajevo is getting blacker. The TV comedy team, Nad Realista, the Surrealists, are much fated for having predicted the division of Sarajevo 4 years before the war broke out. They are currently shooting their 4th series, but are making no predictions about the outbreak of peace.
Ja sam u gradu već 3 sedmice i svugdje kad sam kod nekoga tražim nove viceve i nema ih. Jer humor umro u Sarajevu? A gdje su soli umro?
Humor uopšte nije umro u Sarajevu. Ovo je grad jedinstven po tome što je ovo mjesto na planeti gdje direktno nastaju vicevi. Ovdje se iz života ovog ljudi koji nas okružuju non stop dešavaju situacije koje kada se ispričaju su stvari vicevi.
Dakle, prva ekskluzivna trka u takmičenju sa bidonima u Sarajevu. Vrlo dobro prolazno vrijeme, Hajde, neseć. Izgleda je došlo do nesreće. Idi, nužete. Pade čovjek, brzo. Hajde, tako je. došlo do nepredviđenih situacija.
Kako je, nuše se brzo!
Ali voda je život, kanistere ne smijemo ostaviti. Olimpijski duh u Sarajevu ne gasi se.
Hello.
Hello, Will.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Just like last time, you look extraordinarily cheerful, but you're obviously not cheerful at all. I mean, how do you feel after 16 months of this?
Resigned.
Any end in sight? Do you have any idea how you'd like it to end? What would you like to happen?
end?
Yes. What would
Well,
you like?
science fiction.
What would you like to happen tomorrow?
Like to get some electricity, finally. That's all that we think about.
Although Oslobođenje is still printing every day, its writers, like my friend Gordana Knežević, are suffering the same listlessness as all of Sarajevo.
I mean, the siege has already taken all the energy out of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we are suffering of some syndrome which I would describe as a prison syndrome. And people almost have forgotten about the Serbs which originally put us in this siege.
The last 2 or 3 days of really rather heavy shelling, particularly the day before yesterday. Doesn't this sort of remind people of the real cause of their situation?
No, you know why? It's partly because in living through this war, and I think living through any war, people keep forgetting things. And you even forget what you had for your meal yesterday, and you forget things which happened last year and which happened 18 months ago.
You remind me of a friend of mine who said that she couldn't even remember the names of her favourite film stars.
That's
Sort of amnesia.
That applies to each of us.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of brain damage, I think, just because of all disaster we witnessed here.
Behind me across the road still stand the remains of the truck that burns in the street battle shown at the beginning of our film. This dilapidation, this ruin, seems to me to represent physically the mood that I fear I now find prevalent in Sarajevo. This population no longer believes that the war can be won, no longer believes that Sarajevo has any future, and I fear that many people no longer believe that they themselves have a future. Once the enemy was the Serbs on the hills. They are still there. But now the enemies are cold, hunger, dirt and disease. And above all, the cold. Winter is coming. It's a cold day today. We can feel it coming. I myself too am beginning to lose hope. Oh, surprise.
Oh, hello.
There's the happy man. Today is the birthday of Goran Simic, a poet who is one of my closest friends in Sarajevo and who is married to an ex-student of mine, Amela.
Bravo, Mali.
There are candles but no cake, a party but no presents. Just one bottle of wine and some Sarajevo words. We spoke earlier of the last time we were all together in this room. About 70 people all gathered here. I remember that party too, and that now only 5 of those people are still in the city.
That's the point. I mean, I think all the time, well, I want to go out, I want to go away, I want to end up this and everything, and then I reproach myself and I say, do you love this town? Why are you here at all? I mean, you still have friends here, and then I just decided that I'm very, very, very sad.
But I've realized that I've been out too long, and I've actually come back with the natural thoughts and feelings of the person who was here 9 months ago. I've been in a kind of
tank. Yeah. And I'm out of step with everybody now. Behind me is the city, which has been called the world's greatest concentration camp. According to the disgusting Van Zoen plan, this city would be cut off from the hinterland that you can see. Can you imagine London cut off from Epping Forest? Now, many of the people in the city are so weary, so hopeless, so longing for peace and normalcy that they would like to see that plan signed tomorrow. I do not know how many feel this way. I understand them, but I would suggest something else. It is not too late. It is not too late for intervention. Intervention which, by the way, would certainly have come if the old minarets of Sarajevo, which you can see in the background, had been oil derricks. Let us, for God's sake, for the sake of justice, stop this slow process of sheer bloody murder. Let's stop it, intervene tomorrow, and end it.
After a year of negotiating, I have at long last succeeded in getting my son-in-law Samir onto a UN flight out of the city. Black market brandy at £40 a bottle is found for what may be the last drink that he ever has in his hometown.
We were lucky to have electricity for an hour. Now back to the candles again. I'm going to read the last poem from Goran's new book, which is called The Sarajevo Sorrow. I'm still alive in Sarajevo. The present tense here means living in the past. To speak about the future here means to dream. The white sheet of paper is my last homeland. My pencil is my religion, though I sometimes wish to exchange graphite for gunpowder. We are still alive in Sarajevo. It is a privilege in the town in which death from a shell is a natural death, and natural death is indecency. We are still alive in Sarajevo.
Little progress was made in the peace negotiations in Brussels involving European foreign ministers. The Serbs and Croats have conceded that the Muslims should have 1/3 of Bosnia, but there's conflict over where the boundaries should be. The current plan gives the Croatians much of the land to the south and the Serbs large parts of the north and east. The Serbs continue to oppose Muslim demands for a land corridor linking the district of Sarajevo, which would be under UN control, with the 3 Muslim enclaves in the east. There was some progress today on the creation of another safe Muslim corridor to the seaport of Neum.
With even the demonstration slimming down, European foreign ministers warned the combatants that they couldn't expect the world to sustain its current level of interest in their quarrels. The European Union had summoned the meeting, impatient to hear of progress. Instead, they found the embattled Muslims had rejected what they saw as grudging concessions wrung from the Serbs. Any optimism was strictly for the cameras. This was a stock-taking exercise rather than a negotiating session, but ministers found little to note. For the first time, there was agreement in principle that the Muslims should have 1/3 of Bosnia's territory, but they're still hopelessly divided about where it should be. On almost every point, there are arguments and little will for compromise.
There is a lot of opportunity for nitpicking. over the status of Sarajevo, over the status of Mostar, over access to the sea at Neum. I'm afraid there's a great deal of detailed work yet to be done.
The only unqualified outcome was the promise of a Christmas truce to get the aid through, but that may prove as illusory as past ceasefires. The mediators, Lord Owen and Thorvald Stoltenberg, are to stay on here and try to wring out more detailed agreements. But the ministers left saying there was no final solution on the horizon and they couldn't predict if there would be one. Brian Hanrahan, BBC News, Brussels.
Managers at the
His troops continued their shelling of Sarajevo, killing 6 people and wounding at least 44. But some of the bloodiest fighting in Bosnia didn't involve the Serbs. Around Vitez, the battle between Muslims and Croats continues to escalate.
This afternoon, fierce exchanges of rocket, machine gun and sniper fire across the main road east of Vitez. 3 days ago, the Muslims captured some important Croatian positions here. The Croats are trying to take them back. They haven't yet succeeded. This is a conflict not addressed by the threats from the NATO summit. The Serbs are 14 miles away and not involved, yet the battle here is killing more people at the moment than they are. The dead lie still unclaimed in no man's land. The battle is on for a group of 15 houses seized by the Muslims. It is house-to-house combat of the most lethal kind. Front lines are between 10 and 30 yards from each other. Here, a group of Muslims is moving between 2 houses near the center of the picture. A Croatian soldier is crouching to the left, a few yards away. Simply to show yourself is to attract immediate answering fire. Astonishingly, on the Croatian side, civilians are still up there with the soldiers, either unable to leave their homes or trying to get back to them.
Malo sam bila kod eto tu pri to večer kad će ovo ovdje.
My son went missing from Križančevo village earlier on. All these days and nights I've been crying, and I've been in the house by myself. Then I went to visit my daughter.
The Croats claim that the Muslims are now using tear gas against them. Some of their fighters are wearing scars for protection. This parallel war, now 8 months old, is intensifying. No communique or ceasefire agreement has made any difference. The United Nations has a roll-on part. Its aid route is closed. Its mandate ineffective. Martin Bell, BBC News, Vitez, Bosnia.
President Clinton...
Serbian forces in Bosnia. His special representative in the former Yugoslavia will examine the feasibility of action, agreed in principle at the NATO summit, to reopen Tuzla airport and relieve UN peacekeepers in Srebrenica.
Nothing has changed for the people of Sarajevo. Today was no better than any other day since the war started. They ignore talk about airstrikes. They've heard it too often before. Civilians here are convinced that the world outside is bored by their misery.
I think they have better things to do. Like living life.